Good morning. Welcome to the Coming Home to You Sparkcast, where, um, hold on, sorry. Here is every episode is medicine, joy, healing, and truth that is going to change how you see yourself forever. That is my intention anyway. And so this is this place where we explore what it means to really remember who we are beyond the roles, beyond the noise, especially beyond the expectations, because coming home to you is not a destination. It's truly a devotion. And it's really about the progress, not perfection. And each episode is a step on this journey. It's a chance to reconnect with our true selves and embrace the unique path that it unfolds before us. And now, before we dive in, let's begin as we always do with our sacred one breath, one heart ritual. So take a moment to just soften your shoulders. Arrive in this space. If it feels safe to do so, close your eyes and put your hand in your heart, the other in your womb, in your belly center. Arrive in this space. Be fully present. Inhale deeply, allowing light to fill your space, filling your body. And as you exhale, slowly with a sigh, releasing anything no longer serving you, anything weighing you down. Again, breathing in. We breathe in together as one. And we feeling our hearts really connect across space and time. And as we breathe out, we're going to anchor into love, into truth, and into remembrance. Now let's pause here for a moment of the joy spark gratitude. Place your hands, both hands this time in your heart, and call to mind one thing that you're grateful for in this moment. Now really feel that gratitude expand through your chest, glowing and growing and rippling out into the circle of all the sisters listening here in this moment and listening in the future and in all time and space. How do you want to be held? Yeah, so now we set our intention in this gratitude space. How do you want to be received, to show up, to be in this moment, to be held? Set your intention. And now in this circle with one heart, we may begin. And I'm feeling very hot. A lot of hot energy coming out right now. Interesting. Today, I have the honor of welcoming Keri Knudtson. She's a success coach, a certified master in transformational leadership, and a powerhouse devoted to empowering women over 40 to lead from authenticity, communicate with confidence, and align with their wisdom in wealth. From a certified sommelier to hosting global live events and transformational experiences that have reached truly millions of souls. Keri's journey is a testament to what's possible when we stop chasing success and start truly living it from within. Beautiful. She's a wife, a mother of two, a coffee lover, who isn't, let's just be honest, and a woman who has redefined leadership on her own terms with heart, courage, and devotion to truth. Truly honored to have you, Keri. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Margarita. It's such an honor. I love that you felt the heat and the hot after that meditation. It just goes to show you the energy that we're bringing here today to your audience and the podcast. Super excited to be here with you.
Yay. I felt like it was something releasing, like letting go. And I think it was just and it goes to show you when you really do art, when you do set an intention, when your intention is to release and let go of anything, like it does happen. And for me, it was letting go of the chaos that was happening throughout the day so that I could be present and be here. And that's why I start every call doing that breath so that we can all be here in this space. It's so important to be present. And sometimes we don't know subconsciously things that could be working back here, keeping us away from paying attention. So we're
The
gonna begin. Yes,
I
what
just
came up?
wanted to mention that the gratitude meditation was so powerful and it brought me back to why I'm here and this work and where it all started. So it all starts with setting that intention and the gratitude and thankfulness that is within.
Yes. Yes, heart opening. Heart opening. I love it. Thank you. Yeah, we know we briefly just talked right before we went on live how we were both energy healers. At least we were and are, and I'm moving into it. So I'm excited for this conversation. So, Carrie, we're just going to get right to it. There's that deep rooted start, that time when you grounded yourself in your truth, found the truth of your identity, right? So, before the speaking stages, the best selling books, and the global leadership work that you're currently doing, who was the woman finding her way? Can you share what coming home to you looked like in that season of your life?
Great question. Coming home to me in that season of life before I want to say that I took on these new identities of the speaker, the author, the coach. I was very last. I was very last along the way. And, I think that in my own experience of evolving, and I think that we're constantly coming back to home. So it's not a one and done thing. But in the journey, it was really about I say the first 40 years of life is about identifying who we are. And then after that, I believe our one role is to remember who we are.
Mm.
And that remembrance, we talk a lot in the energy healing work and in the work that coaching and this word of resonance, I think, is really trending and important. But resonance is really about remembering. So the work that you're doing and the question that you ask is so powerful for us all to ask ourselves. And it really started with gratitude when the shift happened. How I found my way was through that very concept of being grateful and gratitude. And yet, it really all started with this book, where I found the importance of gratitude. It says Positive Psychology, the Science of Happiness and Human Strengths. That book was the one shift. I remember reading that book on an airplane the week I turned 40, and there was a part of that book that was about identifying where we are looking at. Are we looking at our strengths or are we looking at our weaknesses? And that just like blew my whole mind up because I realized the first 40 years of my life, I was focusing on my weaknesses, or at least a lot about conditioning about what was wrong with me. And I was like, it's that easy if I could just shift to looking at a strength that like my whole paradigm and my whole life could shift. And it did. It really did. So just taking you briefly back to when I was 40, uh, I was halfway through finishing my bachelor's degree in positive psychology. And we can dive into why I was finding myself at 40 in school when most people, finish in their 20s. Well, I had a long journey of self discovering in those 20 years between 20 and 40. But, we're all on our own pathway. And
Yeah,
when we release this, like it has to be now, then that's part of the remembrance.
I love that. And I love that what I heard you say was when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And a lot of that, you didn't know what you didn't know. And what it took was a book. And there's either a book, a coach, a podcast, an interview. There's so many things available now to us that really share the same concept in different ways where like it is as simple as and it happened in my interview yesterday with I know you know Philza. She was just talking about like start looking at your greatness and not only focusing on the things, your self-doubt, the things that you're not getting done right. Um, and I love that you really started there because that I'm sure gave you courage. I don't know, like how did that shift for you when you did that? Like what happened within you that made you feel that you can really move forward and into a different version of you just by shifting that little mindset?
What actually happened? I believe it was a deep activator and the spark that had me taking the next step and realizing, yeah, I can actually create whatever I want to create. I didn't necessarily understand that before that moment. It was, I can create whatever I want to create. So I went on and dove deeply into the research of gratitude. And I think that, we talk about gratitude, and the month of November is a lot about, oh, what are we grateful for? Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, things like that. But it was really diving into the research of gratitude. I went down this whole rabbit hole of the research of gratitude and its effects on one's overall well being. And there's a lot of research that has been done about it. And I even did my senior thesis about this, about gratitude and its effects on one's overall well being. That's the spark that actually had me realizing I want to become an entrepreneur, but that's a whole nother story that we can dive deeper into. But it was the courage of knowing it's a small framework. So I'm very analytical and I'm very spiritual. And the beautiful thing about that is that we can merge both worlds. We don't have to be this or that. It's a
Yes.
both and. So the analytical part of me likes frameworks, likes the research to then support what I always knew, which was that we're spiritual beings. Because that's a whole nother story about my spiritual mentor and guide, which was my grandfather. But it's a simple framework. So I'm going to share that for your listeners. It's the ABC. This is the ABC that helped spark me. The A is the adversity. The B is the belief behind the adversity. What meaning are we giving the adversity? And the C creates is C create, but it creates the consequence. So the consequence can either be a consequence or it can be an activator of creation. So adversity, belief, and that's when I started diving into the beliefs and the limiting beliefs. And I don't even like the term limiting beliefs. I know that in our industry we talk about that, but they're just beliefs. They don't have to be limiting. They are beliefs and they may have limited you up until now, but it's just a belief. And is it causing a consequence that you like, or is it creating something that you truly want?
Mm. That's a great question to ask yourself. Because oftentimes I think it gets noise. It gets to the point where it's so loud when we hear so many people saying limiting beliefs that we maybe stop listening to it or somehow reject it. You're like, no, I mean, this is because a lot of times I think some people might not even think of it as limiting. This is just my belief. And I love that you really presence that and then asking and going a step further and going, is this actually creating more of the things I don't want and more of the pain, having this belief? Or is it creating and causing the wondrous things that I want? And then how to bridge in between, right? And then like, how is this serving me? And why am I still believing this if it's not serving me? And what I heard
You
you
kn-
say too is also gratitude is a heart expander that really creates heart coherence that can help you manifest. But
Yes,
what
you
for you?
nailed it. The limiting belief, because when I would get in front of a coach, when I wasn't very coachable 5, 6 years ago, but it was like when I heard people ask me, what's the limiting belief? Or let's uncover your limiting beliefs, it immediately had me put up a wall, which was because limiting within itself is a word that is a constrictor, right? It's limiting. So how are we supposed to open up to this new possibility of uncovering something that's limiting? It's not necessarily limiting. It served a purpose up until now. It did.
Mm, I got chills.
Me too. I'm getting like full body
Yeah.
tingles. It served a purpose.
Hmm.
But is your purpose just to be where you are right now, or is your purpose to live into expansion?
And that's a great question. It's like, it's your choice, really. No one is confining you in that space but yourself. So I love the ABC framework, adversity, belief, and create. And I really loved, I'm going to take it and run with it, not just calling it a belief and not a limiting belief. So thank you for that. That was a great takeaway just in the first question. Actually, technically, one and a half questions. Um, but and then there comes a time, right, when you start having this awareness. You're opening up yourself to possibility. And there's that rising spark. Now we have to overcome and reframe those beliefs that we had that were working for us up until now. So you've navigated multiple transitions, from sommelier to success coach, from personal transformation to empowering others. What inner fire or realization really helped you rise from change with more clarity and confidence than before?
Great question. With more confidence and clarity than before. I believe that another belief, I believe that confidence and clarity are something that we all want. But what we need first, primarily, is courage.
Mm.
So there's a quote by, I love quotes, if you know me. There's a quote by Franklin D. Roosevelt, and he states, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear." There are so many great quotes about courage, but I this is another one that I get to remember myself because I'm not always confident in creating the transition or doing something new. It's not the absence of the fear. Fear, our brains, the reptilian part of our brain is there to function in a way that's protecting us from fear. And yet our brain is not yet adaptable. That primitive part of the brain has not adapted to modern age, so there's like a position there. So that is part of why we're all fearing change, in the sense of AI, rapidly changing. Everything's changing every few months. In the online space, everything's changing in the outer world. There's so much fear. So to find clarity and confidence in this rapidly transitioning world, in the external world, we must have inner courage. So it's the assessment: is my courage greater than the fear? Or is the fear greater than the courage? And the root of courage is core, COR, which is heart. So it comes back to remembering the heart. I mean, if you're a mother, I know you are, and there's mothers out there listening, you have all probably experienced that first ultrasound. Do you remember the first ultrasound? And you could actually see the heart before the baby bump, before you even really could feel any movement. You could see that pounding heart, that pounding heart. So that was there, the core, the heart. Before we had clarity, before the baby had confidence, the heart. So that's where it comes back to. Um, it comes back to the heart. And that's why a lot of the times when I'm speaking, I put my hand on my heart. When we center others, you put your hand on your heart.
Yeah, oftentimes when I hear someone say something that really hits me home, I do that too. It's our way energetically anchoring it into our heart. And I love that quote. I had heard something similar, but not the way that you said the assessment. of the courage. And I was just like, whoa, I got more body chills, first of all. And I heard it in such a different way, and it really landed in different parts of my soul when you said it like that. And I completely agree with you when and I think what came up for me when you said that was if I can the courage is through vision. If I have the vision of what it is that I want to create or do, then I can have the courage to step through the fear. Is that kind of like what you've learned through all your teachings and research?
Well, I love that you brought up vision because I forgot to mention that. It does all come back to the vision. It all comes back to the vision. You know, this is what's been coming up as I prepared energetically and in my mind for this recording for this podcast is about I said the first 40 years, this is my belief, is about identifying who we are. Who is Keri? Who is Margarita? Who is, whatever your God-given name is or your birth name is. It's about identifying who that is. Now, in my own experience, I was identifying who I was through the projection of other people's visions. It wasn't even me who was living that out. And I learned that when I walked across that stage receiving my bachelor's degree at 41, because I chose that because I was living in 20 years of shame because I was incomplete around that. And the whole reason why I went back to school and get that degree was to fulfill someone else's vision, that I was not worthy or enough unless I had a degree. And I was complete with that because I was thought that I felt this like failure because I stopped going to college and I failed not once, twice, the third time it worked. But it was someone else's projection of the vision. So when we can first identify, is my vision actually mine from my heart, or is that projection of someone else's vision? My parents, what society says, my aunt and uncle maybe even says, or my grandparents says. So that's really what happened to me. I realized, oh my gosh, this piece of paper that I was after, the degree, is really just a piece of paper. And is that my inner truth? No, I'm a healer.
Hmm.
I know I'm a healer. I know I'm here to break generational patterns of lack, fear, and scarcity. That's why I was here. Now, did it take the journey of me, living in depression, anxiety for decades, having shame around not having a degree? That was part of the journey to finally realize the importance of vision. What is my vision? My vision was always to be an author, even from when I was 5 years old. My vision was always to have the power and empowerment to speak my voice because I felt like it was constricted.
Hmm.
So, thank you for bringing it back to vision because each and every person here has a vision, and it's good to assess even moment to moment, is this my vision or is a projection of someone else's vision?
Yeah, and it goes back to like weeding through the noise, right? Like that's why I open the Sparkcast the way I do because we have expectations placed on us. We put expectations on ourselves, and that goes back to the whole thing, like our, like being a parent of teenagers now. They're both actually both 13 right now until our daughter turns 14 in 2 days. So Irish twins, crazy. But I really now going through this work and knowing the power of words and expectations and how it placed me to where I am, trying to rediscover my true identity past all of that, like all the layers that I packed on that weren't mine. It's like people keep giving me blankets, right? It's like for a vision for people. People kept saying, "Here, this is your blanket." Oh, okay, thanks, and I'll put it on. And somebody else will be like, "No, this is your blanket." Okay, thanks, I'll put that one on too. Before you know it, you have this like mound. You're like in a cocoon of blankets that aren't even yours, And so as you start peeling them off, you start to recognize and remember, oh, I did love to do this. Oh, I do remember as a child, I used to say I always wanted to do this. And so I really love where you took this conversation because it's so important to discern between the noise of others' expectations and ideas of what they want from you, especially those like parents, or spouses. Even spouses can put a lot of expectations on you. Telling, and I love that you talked about shame with the degree because I have still a lot of shame about that. And it's like I feel, you know, something's wrong with me because no one's going to hire me. I don't have a degree, but I'm so talented and I'm so this. So I get to just ground myself in like, I am a healer. I didn't come to get a degree to just look good on paper. I came here to actually create change in the world. So thank you for grounding the conversation in the truth of be who you be and not who you think you're supposed to be to make people
Absolutely.
feel better about themselves.
Yes,
Uh,
I mean, for my vision, I know that why I'm here is to raise global conscious awareness. And the way that I know that I do it is to break those generational patterns of lack, fear, and scarcity. And I wanted to bring that up because our what I'm experiencing from being a parent and working in this work every day, all day around consciousness and awareness and leadership, transformational leadership is really just about awareness, is that the future generations are so highly consciously aware. Like I see the evidence of it because my son, because I'm in the work, kids don't do what we say, they do what we do and who we be. He actually is aware of my projections and the expectations and the blankets that I'm giving him. So
he's
he's
like, no,
like,
mom's not mine.
and so it's like beautiful to see that doing this work and that we're all in the work and that we all are here to, I believe, learn, grow, and evolve together. And thank goodness that the consciousness of the planet is raising because of your work, my work, the work of the listeners, and commitment of the listeners to be aware is that we're really shifting this. We're really shifting consciousness, and the expectations and the blankets are now being uncovered. So thank you.
Yeah, and awareness is key, and I love that you really grounded us in that. Because I said it earlier, you don't know what you don't know. And I think in the end, it really is one thing that I want to just remind everybody is like there's no right or wrong of what you went through. You went through it so they can come to where you are. Like if you would have had a cozy life and been okay with everything, they would, I feel, in my opinion, I don't know if I would grow. I don't know if I would look for more. I don't know if I would ask questions of like, is this really it? And so I think that sometimes life puts us in a place like a pressure cooker so that we could have a diamond come out at the end, because there is a diamond within us. And life is calling us all the time to share our light with the world. And so it's now is the time. Now is the time. And I love that our children are really being, the millennials and other people are really conscious that there's so many people are like have a knowingness about them of what's fair and what's right and what is wholesome. And I just love, and it gives me hope. And I love that the people that I'm surrounding myself with lately are all people like you, cycle breakers, people who know that they were here to be generational pattern disruptors. And so I'm just so honored to be in this space every week with women like you who really are doing the work and generously sharing what it looks like to come home to themselves. And it's as simple as a choice. And the other simple thing are sacred tools that we put in our toolbox. Because without that, we can just be flailing in the water without a life vest. So it's so important to have things like faith, your wellness, and inner resilience to really help propel us forward. So you mentor so many women to turn their wisdom into wealth through leadership and communication. Beautiful. What daily practices and mindset or energetic tools to help you stay aligned to lead from authenticity rather than pressure or perfection or having to get it right? People pleasing, even.
Oh, the people pleasing. That's still one that I am breaking
Same,
through constantly. The awareness of the people pleasing is thank goodness for that awareness because I see it so much that in my own life, I know that I have broken the extremity of it, but I still see because my awareness is higher and higher. I feel like in doing the work every day and working with entrepreneurs every day is that I see the people pleasing. I still see that in my own self, that where I get to break through because that one's deep. But
Mhm.
I love that you brought up pressure and you had mentioned the pressure cooker. So what I've realized is that pressure is not something to avoid. I'm going to say that again. Pressure is not something to avoid. In my own work of my transition of career, going from I first worked in the coffee industry, became a master in coffee, certified coffee master. And then then I realized, oh, coffee is just like wine. So then I went down the deep hole of becoming a certified sommelier for a decade and in the wine industry. And then let that go and went into the work of modern day psychologist, positive psychologist, and transformational leadership in the work. I saw the through line. So the through line was pressure, is
Mm.
pressure, not was, is pressure. So, I mean, look at, I don't know if many people know, but coffee was a cherry. Coffee was a cherry. That coffee that's in your cup, it used to be a cherry. It went through extreme pressure to become. It got picked and dried and pressed and heated and ground up. Same with wine. It was right. It was a grape, and it got pressured. It got pressed. It got transformed. And as humans, when we evolve, when we say yes to evolving, then we're under pressure. So it's not about avoiding the pressure because what you resist persists, right?
Mhm.
So if you're avoiding the pressure and the being transformed, then it's going to persist. It's about identifying the pressure and assessing what meaning you are giving to pressure.
Mhm.
So pressure is something that we get to lean into. We get to lean into. Pressure is really just fear. People pleasing is really just fear. Perfection is fear manipulating you, I believe, or manipulating me because I had such a perfectionist like way of being because I felt like I had to show up in perfection as a child to be loved. And so all of those fall under the umbrella of fear. And it goes back to the quote by Franklin D. Roosevelt, right? What are we assessing is more important. To me, it's the courage. And I found many tools along the way. Entrepreneurship luckily uncovers a lot of things. One of those was the people pleasing for me, was the people pleasing. And your question goes back to what right were the daily practices or tools that I have used. So one of them is the courage framework. It's the live with courage framework, and I found and created this live with courage framework through many energetic healing tools. So to embody that, yes, I was a healer, I got to heal myself, and I used so many different tools. So if is would you like me to share them? Was that part of your question? Sometimes I get lost in my own rabbit holes of answering questions.
I always believe that what is supposed to come through will. So if it's in your heart to share, I would love for you to share.
Yeah, I mean, I spent about 3 years of deep energetic healing tools. Um, One of them, and so I'll share a few of them. And whatever resonates with the listener, this is supposed to resonate with you and follow that nudge. One was emotion code. because what I realized there was a lot that emotion coaches spoke to me. I went into emotion code theory and healing about the heart wall. One was Reiki, and that's when I got level 2 certified Reiki. I'm not a master Reiki practitioner, but I went down the Reiki, hypnosis, past life regression, mirror work. This is really mirror work works more on your conscious mind, things like emotion code, hypnosis, past life regression works on the subconscious mind. And another one that sparked interest in me in 2020 is Akashic Records. So Akashic Records does work on the superconscious mind, something that subconscious and superconscious. So those are a few tools, energetic tools that I discovered really had me releasing, like you said, those blankets or the layers of, we're in the year of the snake, right? The shedding of the scales. Um, and if one of those is speaking to any one of the listeners, follow that nudge. Follow that nudge.
Even if you don't know or haven't heard of it, look it up. Because if it's sitting back there and going, then that's the nudge that she's talking about and referring to. And sometimes we get so wrapped up. I know I was getting so wrapped up going through this process of leadership and exposing, those beliefs that I had that were keeping me small. I was just like, I needed to know the why. But why do I do that? Where did it come from? Where did it start? And I love what you brought up, a lot of the tools that you brought up. You don't need to know. You just shift the energy. It just shifts the energy because you're really coming into the truth of who you are. And by us, it just, an awareness becomes available to you in that moment, I think, is what has happened to me. Would you say that that same similar thing happened to you, Keri?
Well, yes, because I'm a why person. I want to know why. I ask the follow-up questions. Why? So this is where coaching works well when you want to know the why, when you want to find the logical evidence of the why, then transformational leadership and coaching, that work, it is important to fulfill that analytical mind and the logical mind. That's why we want to know why.
Do you think
Now,
it's important for us to know why? Do you think it makes a difference, or is it just depends on the person that really, like you just said, it's to fulfill that need to know? Do you think it really matters? I guess is my question, to know the why,
well, I do think that all three layers of our consciousness matter. Um,
including the ego, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, so the way that I describe consciousness and the three levels of consciousness, and I started this consciousness journey, understanding consciousness back in the 90s when I took that first psychology class. And I wanted to know why. This was 1994. I took my first psychology class in high school. And that's what was fulfilling. Like, I want to know why humans do the things that they do. And that's why I love coaching because I am just obsessed with why humans do the things that we do because we're souls having a human experience, I believe. So part of that is this yearning to fulfill part of, I feel like, my life's mission. Yet when 30 years, 30, I think I'm at 30 years. Yeah, it's 2025 of understanding the why is that we only understand the why to a certain limiter because it's our logical mind that understands the why. So that's why going into the subconscious that explains, it does explain the why a lot, the subconscious, but also the superconscious can then have validation, which doesn't fit into the logical mind. So the three layers, conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, a lot of the time our superconscious doesn't fit into logic.
Mm.
It doesn't fit into logic. And when I refer to superconscious, I'm referring to 5D consciousness. And So this is like a whole, probably another podcast episode. We could go into 5D consciousness, but in my life's work, um, studying psychology and then going into the energetic work is that, and now the work that I do is blending all three of them. And I think that's why it's important to uncover all three and understand all three, or at least
Mm,
work in all three. You don't have to understand it. I mean, 5D consciousness doesn't make logical sense. Yeah, I'm going to refer back to my spiritual teacher, who was my grandfather, and he still is my spiritual soul guide. I have this book right here. I love books too. He gave me this book, and I still have the sticky. I just found it on my bookshelf. I pulled it off my bookshelf. His sticky is still here. I don't know if you can see. It's from 1998. He passed away in 2001. So, but I have this like sticky, and he probably gave this to me. I don't know when the book was, but this is an old book. I mean, this book is old. The sticky is from 98, which was almost 30 years ago. This talks about the 5D consciousness, and he understood the 5D consciousness, and he was, I would say, really, most people weren't talking about 5D consciousness back in the 1900s.
no,
But
I mean,
I had a sense of knowing in my heart what it was.
mm.
So that's why I really connected with him on such a deep soul level. And that's why I say he's still part of my spiritual guide.
And it's beautiful because what I see what happened now is like the arc of where how you went and where you went, starting with everything and then getting into the positive psychology. It's like it perfectly created the Keri that you were supposed to be here in the world. And you're in that there's a unique way that you present the work that you do because of the arc that you have gone through. And I think when we can lean into that pressure, that is what makes us stand out as the light that we are in the world.
Thank you for bringing back to pressure. So for the audience, yes, for the audience is that the pressure is our life is filled with pressure, and it is, we're all creating this full circle moment. It
Mhm.
all fits in together. And the pressure is what brings it together. So thank you for bringing it back to the pressure. The pressure is what brings it back together. Remember, wine would not be wine if it wasn't under pressure.
Yes. And a diamond wouldn't be a diamond without the pressure either.
Right.
Hmm. I love it. I love it. So what you're saying is that we are all under a lot of pressure to be the diamonds that we are inherently. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who are doing the work, who are modeling what it looks like, and that, stumbling is part of the process. And so the community, feeling of belonging, a sense of inclusion, and the impact that we can create is so important. And your work with women really stepping into their new roles of visibility and leadership is the work that you do. How does community, the sisterhood of support, really help women embody their power and remember their worth?
Well, thank God for sisterhood, because as we come together, we have a sense of remembrance of who we really are, and we're here to collaborate and not compete. We're
Hmm.
here to connect. We're here to remind and mirror, we remind each other who we really are, and we do that through mirroring each other. What I see the greatness in you is within me, and that's where, our ego mind went down the rabbit hole as teenagers, I believe, as societal pressure of the comparison, because we see greatness in each other. So the community is so very vital. The number one indicator of well-being, when I did the research, and I feel like I'm seeing more and more of this mainstream, is about social connectedness. It's the number one contributor of longevity as well, is social connectedness. So if you want to live a long life, live a life in community with sisterhood. with connectedness, with collaboration. So that's the importance of it. Now, what I'm realizing working with entrepreneurs every day, hundreds of entrepreneurs every day, and working with thousands over the past 5 years is that not everyone loves community, to like lean into community. So some people like to be more on their own and that, working on their own, or I see that people pull away from community. Now, I just think that it's something to be aware of. When are you pulling away from community and when do you get to lean into community? Because really, we all want a sense of belongingness. We all want to know that we are loved. And we all want to know that we have the emotions of shame, guilt, not enough. And through vulnerability, we create a sense of connection.
Mm, interesting. I was just thinking, like lone wolfing is something that came up when you said that, but it's interesting because there are some people, and like true introverts, who just feel like their best work is work alone. But I liked the invitation that you brought up. It's like it's okay to do that. Just like learn to discern when you get to lean into community, because community, what I've noticed is when I leaned into the community as a collaboration, it lights me up. It really gives me a sense that I'm creating impact in the world. And if I were to just lone wolf it or do it myself and do it my way, I probably would be going upstream for a little while until I could figure it out. But I figure it out once I get to the community. And I think that once we understand that community, and that's what the blue zones are, right? The blue zones, if anybody's heard of the blue zones, this is one of the things that they're seeing in their research, is that these people are really all about like being together as a community, helping each other in the kitchen, just like social connectivity. And that's why my Latino community is so great. Of always like everybody's family. We call everybody Theo and Auntie and cousin this, cousin that. And I love that. And like it's crazy to think that longevity and wellness, the number one contributor and indicator of that is social connectiveness. Like that's one to ponder. And especially because what social media and all those things that are creating right now is everybody like kind of like one single focus is just on themselves, creating more of disconnection. So I loved really, as we were wrapping up this call, to really center back on the importance of why social connection and being a part of a community is so important. It goes beyond anything. It's like literally how long you can live. Let that sit in your brain for a minute.
Well,
Um,
absolutely. And it's how it literally is. Your lifespan is social connectedness. And around, I say in business, I want to tie this into business for entrepreneurs. And I say this till I'm blue in my face with entrepreneurs I work with, is that the number one return on investment, any investment that you have in your business, is relationships. It's relationships. And that is around building community where it doesn't have to look like a actual like community space that you're walking into, but it's around your relationships. So invest in relationships.
oh, I love it. Yes, that's the best investment you'll ever make.
Yeah.
So, for those inspired by your journey and mission, Keri, where can they find you and learn more about your coaching and leadership programs?
To connect with me, I would say follow me on Instagram, Envision with Keri. It's ENVISION with Keri, KERI. I'm sure you'll share my Instagram in the show notes.
Yep.
And I have a call that I'm opening up to anyone that wants to dive deeper into any of the topics that I spoke about, um, especially the Akashic records, if that's speaking to you, if diving into the awareness of what's holding you back in your business. Um, Really, it's an open door. It's an open door. There are doors open all around you. And when you said the word discernment, I believe this is besides relationships, the best tool that anyone can have right now is discernment. Discern which door is for you in your inner knowing. That's your inner truth. Trust yourself. There's lots of doors open. Yet don't be fooled by a door that you think is yours that isn't yours. A lot of the times doors close for a reason, or they're tight to open for a reason. And that's really tapping into the energetics, and that's what I help clients with. So envisionherleadership.com/schedule is how you could schedule a call with me. You want to break patterns, you want to let go of fear of visibility. I do have a 4-week journey working with your intuition and Akashic field in your business. So looking forward to connecting with anyone that's interested.
Oh my gosh, I feel like you actually answered the the last question that we have. But I know that you have so much more that you could offer the listener who is still standing at the edge of change, unsure if it's too late to begin again. What truth, besides trusting yourself, because I think that's a huge one, having discernment and trusting yourself is so huge. But what truth would you leave them with about coming home to themselves and redefining their success on their own terms?
Thank you for this last question because it's something that I live by and I want to share it with the listeners. It's the live with courage, live with courage. And I have a framework. So it's the LIVE, live with courage. L stands for love, 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 love. Fall in love with yourself. Fall in love with yourself. Now, I do have another book. It's called Mirror, not my book, but Mirror Work is a great tool for falling in love with yourself. Mirror Work by, who is it? Louise Hay. This book. It's a great tool for the loving part. I stands for intimacy. Be intimate with self. We cannot create intimacy with others until we are deeply intimate with ourselves. And being deeply intimate with yourself can look like opening your field, the field, the 5D consciousness field. V stands for vulnerability. Vulnerability. It's removing the armor from your heart. Being
Mm.
vulnerable, just sharing, I'm struggling here, or this is hard, or I cried myself to sleep last night. It's okay. It's okay to not be okay. And because we all connect through being vulnerable, and E stands for empathy. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So live with courage, love yourself, fall in love with who you are, who you be, what you love to do. It might be something that you forgot when you were 5 years old. A lot of this that we uncover in the Akashic field. I is be intimate with self, so we can be intimate and connected with others. V is vulnerability. Be vulnerable, remove the armor from your heart. It's okay. We all feel like we're not enough. It's okay. And E is be empathetic to others. Be empathetic. We're all fighting a silent battle. That's what connects us.
Mm.
So thank you for this time.
That was so beautiful. I had to write it down, of course. I've been taking notes. I love all this 'cause I've like take notes and I'm gonna be like living in the work that I'm doing. So it's great. Love, when you said that part of falling in love with yourself, that's literally what I'm saying. I'm finding myself falling in love with myself again. Like again, maybe not again, but like I am. And it's been a beautiful thing. I actually wrote a song called Love Me First because I'm learning to love me first through the mess, through the hurt, and it's okay. I love that you gave us permission because it is okay. It is okay to not be okay. So thank you for that. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your giving generosity and your beautiful light that you share with the world and who you be, Keri. It's been an honor. So, as we close this powerful conversation with Keri, we are reminded to stop putting ourselves last. Because when we rise, we give others permission to rise too. Resonance isn't about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you already are. Awareness is the key that unlocks everything. The moment you change how you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. And gratitude expands the heart into coherence, aligning your energy with clarity, confidence, and courage. Carrie's ABC framework, the adversity, belief, and create, really reminded us that pressure isn't something to avoid, but to embrace 100%. So every time you say yes to your evolution, you'll meet pressure. But that pressure is proof that you're growing, that you're on the right path. So assess your fears and ask yourself, is my fear greater than my courage? Because courage sharpens clarity. It fuels confidence and leads us into our next chapter. You are not other people's vision of you. Let's get that straight. Your life is your vision, your through line. And when you begin to see yourself clearly, you create from truth. And in this journey, thank goodness for sisterhood, the women who hold up mirrors of remembrance, not competition, but collaboration. Because the number one indicator of well being and longevity is social connectedness. That sacred bond that reminds us we belong, we matter, and we are never alone. So live with courage. If this conversation sparked something within you, if your heart cracked open just a little more, maybe you felt seen, heard, or simply not alone. I ask you, sisters, to please subscribe to our channel and share this with another sister. When you do so, this content can reach more women who need that reminder that she is not alone, that her voice really does matter, and that healing is possible. And remember, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Until next time, sisters, keep shining, keep rising, and keep coming home to yourself because you matter. You are enough exactly as you are. I am your host, Margarita Rose, here with Keri Knudtson today and the Coming Home to You Sparkcast. We'll see you next week, same time, same Spark channel. Be well.